Well, thank you so much, David. I really appreciate you taking your time to be on Sensible Hippie podcast. Before we dive in this fascinating topic of flat Earth theory, I'd like to take a moment to learn more about you and your journey.
Okay.
Could you share with our listeners what initially sparked your interest with flat Earth?
Well, just like every other flat earther, we all have the same story. We thought it was stupid. We ridiculed the people that even suggested that we look. We refused to look. And then when we decided to look, we didn't look with an open mind. We looked with a closed mind to disprove flat earth, prove the globe, and get this crazy notion out of our friends' heads. And that's how you become a flat earther, because it's truly amazing how well we've been indoctrinated to believe the earth is a globe. And why. People throw their hands up, smart people throw their hands up, when all of their what they thought were proofs were thrown out. They say, why the lie? That's the best question. We're going to get to that by the end of the show. But my history was, I always questioned everything. One of my earliest memories, I was either in kindergarten or first grade. Teacher took us outside to show us what gravity was. He had a rope and a bucket of water, and he swung it around and said, "That's gravity." And I said, "But if the water is on the outside of the ball, how is that different? Don't you have to turn the bucket around?" And he showed me the textbook and all these highlights in it, and all these different colors from all these different teachers, or maybe it was all him over years and years. He goes, "This is how they taught me to teach it, and this is how I'm going to teach it." And that kind of just stuck with me my whole life. So I started questioning things early on. I was working in corporate America, and my buddy Tim and we were just talking about the Federal Reserve and the IRS and how all of that is just not what they tell us it is. And we started getting a bigger and bigger crowd following us at lunchtime, like, "Oh, Dave and Tim are here," And and then one day he goes to me, he says, "Hey, Dave, we have an opportunity to do a podcast in New York City." And I was like, "What's a podcast?" I didn't even know what a podcast was. He's like, "It's a recorded radio show." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And it was called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. We looked into many different conspiracies, the thing that happened in New York and Connecticut and Boston and everything else. And the third year, people started sending me flat earth stuff. And that's when I came up with the term "ban for life." I ban you from ever commenting again on any of our social media because you're too stupid to even listen to our comedy truth podcast. And then I was forced to look by a good friend, Sophia Smallstorm, another researcher who I respect a lot. And as I said, I went in with a bad attitude to just disprove it. And for 2 weeks, I tried and tried and tried. And back then, that was 2014, 2015. YouTube would suggest, "Hey, you like this video? Well, so-and-so just uploaded this video. And here's another video." And they were just feeding us good information. Now, here's the thing. People say, "Where did you get your information from? YouTube?" Well, YouTube's a platform that holds all kinds of truths and untruths and funny things and not funny things. It's just a platform. And there's a lot of truth on there. So you have to use your God given discernment. And anybody that honestly tries to prove the globe will end up being a flat earther, because the globe is the dumbest thing ever, the dumbest. So that's I was, as I said, I was in corporate America. I rose to the top of that company. I left that company and started my own business, and it was doing extremely well. And my truth journey was kind of getting interfering with with my entire life's work. I went to college. I got in corporate America. I got out of corporate America. I started my own company. I'm the CEO of my own company. And I walked away from it all because this is the most important topic of our entire civilization. Well, what about child trafficking and all the other horror things and wars and nuclear war? All of those would not be possible if people knew where they were, who they were, what this place was, what it isn't. And once you wake up to the flat earth, you can never go back to sleep again. And you lose the word boredom. Boredom is just as a word of the past. So there you go. That's my history.
That's awesome. You're in corporate America. What did you do? If you don't
I
mind me
was
asking.
well, I was in the commercial printing industry for years, and then I kind of left that and went into the solar business. And I worked for a big company that was on the East Coast here, and they were just doing residential solar. And me and what eventually ended up being my partner in my business after that, we're like, "Why don't we do big buildings?" And we figured out a way to finance these jobs and build these jobs and do these huge jobs. So we started a whole commercial division, and then the company was sold to a big nationwide residential solar company, and they shut down the commercial division, the most profitable part of the whole thing. And so we started our own company, and we were growing to be one of the biggest most successful commercial developers. And I had all of that. Thank God my father passed away years ago, because I had all of that. I built all of that. I'm my own boss. I make my own time. I'm making more money than I ever thought I could make. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just let this all go and go talk to people and tell them I think the earth is flat. Right. And I was like, maybe if he was alive, I wouldn't have done it. But a whole bunch of synchronicities happened. And I asked for a sign. I literally asked God for a sign, and the sign literally kicked me so hard. And I was like, okay. And I did it. And it's the best decision I ever made.
Wow. Within your own community, the flat earth community, there are various interpretations and models of the flat earth theory. What is your specific interpretation of the flat earth model?
So there is a lot of people say there's a dome. A lot of people say there's a bigger dome. I'm a bigger dome kind of guy, a bigger flat sky dome. All these different things, they're all related. But one thing we all agree on and know for a fact is that the earth is not a spinning ball in a scientifically impossible space vacuum, right? You can't have high pressure. Listen, this is what the earth is. Let me tell you a story. All right. So the earth is a lumpy rock floating in a space vacuum surrounded by water that curves. And that lumpy rock is surrounded by air adjacent to a void of no pressure with no container to hold the air in. And it's curling, whirling, and twirling and spinning and going at speeds you can't even comprehend, right? We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour if you're at the equator. We're orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour on average. That's crazy. I mean, that's a speed you can't even fathom. Again, and it's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, and the entire system's moving sideways at millions of miles per hour, but you don't notice any of it. None of the stars ever change. We're traveling 4.4 billion, I think it's closer to 5 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. All the other stars are doing their beehive, paths. Many of them are binary. Lots of the stars, they tell us, are binary. Like 80% of them are orbiting each other while they're orbiting the galaxy. But never once have two stars changed positions. Never once has that happened from our point of view. All of the stars are circling around Polaris, our North Star. All of the planets, the sun and the moon, are also going around Polaris. How's that possible in a heliocentric model? Why would the other planets circle around just happen to circle around where our axis of alleged rotation is pointing? All the other stars circle around that center point. Once you understand that, that'll do it right there. I mean, there's so many proofs, and the Globers come out and say there's no proof of the flat earth. There's none, and there's a million proofs of globe earth. Opposite is true. You got 50 hours? Because I got proofs. We won't even run out in 50 hours. And I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. No one's taking my Bitcoins. That's almost $200,000.
How much is a Bitcoin?
Bitcoins, it's up $68,000 today. Each.
Wow.
Each. So, but I have no fear of losing.
Wow.
Like when I tell people that challenge, I'm like, what a stupid thing for me to say, because there's 0 chance of them winning it. But they may think that they can win it, which is great, because then they'll dive in, they'll try to get the Bitcoins, and they'll end up being flat earthers and alienating themselves from friends and family.
Have anyone taken you up on that challenge?
Yeah, a couple people with just the dumbest crap ever, and then I'll just show them. I'm like, look, this is what you think. They'll look at some trick photography thing, and I'm like, this is what they're doing. And it's crazy. The latest one was a guy said he has proof. I'm going to show you. Let me show you what he sent me. It's pretty funny. He said, this is proof, and he even gave me his Bitcoin address to send them to. So, Southern Stars. So he sends me this. Right? This is the Earth spinning under the stars. And all this photographer did was got a telescope that has a one-axis rotation on it and on a computer and says, all right, stay focused on that one star and keep it right in the center of the screen. And so the sky is moving, so the camera has the camera, the telescope has to move. And then from your reference frame, you know, so this is literally the best one I've gotten in a long time. I mean, the best one is stupider than stupid, but so
If the Earth did move like that, I think we'd all be sick.
Think about the water.
Make you feel...
Right. I mean, spinning and whirling, twirling, moving at 1,000 miles an hour. And it's like, well, the argument people say is, well, on an airplane, you could drink a glass of water and go to the bathroom. Everyone is programmed to say that exact same thing. And I say, well, if you want to compare an airplane to the slowest motion of the Earth, just to spin, you have to double the speed of the airplane. You have to remove the outer shell of the airplane, and you have to nosedive down at 1 mile per minute to follow the curve of the Earth. Because when you're in an airplane, you're in a pressurized and contained system, and you're flying straight. They're sleeping in an airplane, and the pilot all of a sudden starts to descend towards the airport. A slight descent, boom, you wake up. You're like, whoa, I changed directions. You know it instantly, right? Going straight is different than turning. Go in a car, 100 miles an hour, beautiful road, beautiful car, great suspension. Get a dinner plate, fill it with water, then have that car take the slightest turn to the left or right, or acceleration or deceleration, the slightest. And that water's gone. The water's gone, right? But they want us to believe that that we're spinning and whirling and twirling in these crazy directions. So you know, this is how they teach us the world spins in school, right? We all go around the sun, but they don't tell us that the sun's moving 500,000 miles per hour. So you have to believe, and somehow all of these planets stay on the same plane. Why are they on the same plane? Wouldn't they be going in all different directions, kind of like like they show us an atom goes, right? So here is the speeds are incomprehensible. This is the hypersonic sled track, right? You could if you want to hear it with sound, which is shocking. You see it, you missed it. Okay, it's a NASA test track. It goes Mach 8.6, 8.6 times the speed of sound. Watch, ready? Can't even fathom that. You can't fathom what twice that speed is, right? But the orbit of our Earth, so we got the lumpy rock with the smooth water with the air adjacent to a void, breaking every law of physics. It is going around the sun 10 times faster than this. And it is chasing the sun, ready? 100 times faster than this. So you got the lumpy rocky water ball, impossible, with air on the outside, moving in 2 different directions, 10 times and 100 times faster than this. And you don't notice it. But you go out in nature, you go out in nature and you see this, right? What does this tell you? This tells you that we're not doing this. We're perfectly still, right? This water is at rest and it's contained. If I lowered the land, the water would flow and find its next base level. Large bodies of water at rest lie flat and must be contained. Must be contained. Right? That's
interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do your God-given common senses tell you about this water? It's not moving. It's not moving. If there was a tiny little earthquake, the water would just become waves all over the place. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Next question. I think you have a list of questions.
I have. I do. I have your app, and it's really amazing. My favorite part of the app is your photos. I like going through that.
Right there. You know, you can search for whatever you need.
I know.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm adding more all the time. Adding more all the time. Go ahead.
You had mentioned in one of your photos there about the Georgia stone when it was still there. And you said that proves that the Earth was flat. Can you talk about that?
So the Georgia Guidestones, I'm using this. By the way, I'm using a computer version of my app, which will be available soon. Not yet. So the center stone had this little tiny hole, and when you look through it, right in the center of that hole is Polaris, our North Star. Any day, any night of the year, anytime, it's always there. Now, there's a shaft in the Great Pyramid of Giza that does the same thing, and we're like, that proves the Earth isn't wobbling like they tell us, because They built it to whatever 2,000 years ago, and the globalists, the global apologists, will say, well, they built it. It was pointing towards a different North Star. Then it just happens to be pointing towards our new North Star. And in 2,000 years, it'll be pointing towards another star. I'm like, oh, so we just happen to live in a time that is pointing towards a star, and the wobble is so slow, right? We're corkscrewing 4.5 billion miles a year, never to come back, traveling back and forth on each side of the sun every 6 months, 186 million miles. But Polaris never moves. Now, their answer is Polaris is so far away that movement is insignificant. Let's say you were looking at a tree on top of a mountain 20 miles away. And from your point of view at the distance, if you want to make it scaling, you're moving a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a micromillimeter, and there would be no parallax. Cool story, bro, right? But you cannot see things that far, right? It just doesn't work that way. So what doesn't work for them is the Earth's axis is wobbling every 26,000 years. It makes the great cycle, right? And so every 76 years, it moves 1 degree. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 1 degree is 3 moon widths. You have 3 full moons. That's 1 degree in the sky. Well, this was built in 1981, and it was up for over 40 years. It's well over a half a degree. That star should have been well over a moon width out of the hole, but it wasn't. And we started verifying it and proving it and doing videos on it. And then guess what happened? Out of nowhere, boom. Somebody blew it up. A terrorist blew it up. Right now, do you know anything about bombs? Every bomb, every type of bomb everywhere has a signature. They can figure out whose DNA is in it, where those explosives came from. Within 2 or 3 hours, the bulldozers were there, bulldozed the entire thing away, no investigation. I say that's because of what we did. But going about the wobble. You know about the Prague clock? The clock. This is the oldest clock in the world in Prague. It's the oldest clock in the world, and this is our zodiac, and it moves around 26,000 years. It takes to go around, right? So this clock is old. Prague is a very ancient city, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But in Prague, if you want to change the railing on your rock wall, you have to go through a dozen committees, historical committees. Everything has to be approved, and most of the time they don't let you change anything, right? Yeah, they're very, very good, a historical society. But if you look right in here, this is a flat Earth map inside there. And just recently, they changed it to a globe with no approvals, nobody, no notification, no announcement. They just changed it to a globe.
Wow.
Let that sink in.
Oh, yeah. When did that happen?
Recently, like within the last couple of years, couple of months. I'm not even sure when it was, but it's recently. It's a globe now. Look how bad that is.
That is pretty weird.
We're going to show you a
pretty...
preponderance of evidence, right? Each one by itself is enough to prove that they're lying about the globe. But I can just go on and on and on. So there you go. The way,
yeah, that's interesting.
The way I found that on the app, I started typing in Prague PR, and they just showed, boom, that shows up right there. So it's super easy for finding stuff. Got to find out why this image isn't loading. See what that is.
Oh.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, right. It's just nothing. It's just that. I'm curious about the firmament. What does that, or how does that play into flat Earth?
Well, so if you look at it biblically, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. Makes sense to me.
You're saying it's still there. It's still there.
Well, to have air, it needs to be contained. There is something containing the air, and we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's not gravity, right? Gravity can't hold air down, okay? Because I can take the weak, at any altitude, I can inhale through a straw and pull water and air up and away from gravity effortlessly. But the vacuum of space, which is a quadrillion times stronger than my lungs, can't pull it away. It's like so stupid. So there is something, and I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know. I think that, my opinion, this is just me. And again, we don't need to speculate on anything to prove the Earth is flat and stationary, non-rotating, not a ball. But it is fun to talk about what could be up there and what could be out south. Every direction you point, by the way, is south. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
That's south.
I didn't know that.
That's south. That's south. And that's south. Let me explain. So people like, well, you know, people circumnavigate the world. So I got a flat map here. I got a magnet here. I got a compass. The compass needle's pointing towards the center. So that's north. North is always towards the magnetic center. I'm trying to push this compass west. Am I going in a straight line or am I going in a circle? Going in a circle. I'm heading 270 degrees west. And I got right back to where I started from. Now I'm going to go east. I'm going to end up right back where I came from. That's pretty simple, right? And now if I try to dead reckon west, so I'm standing still. I say, okay, west is that way, and I drew a line, pulled a string, and I'm heading south. Look, the compass turned. I'm heading south. It should turn a little bit more. The magnet wasn't strong enough. But every direction away from the center is south. So if I point towards the north, yeah, watch. So right here, I'm going to go south. And on a ball, if I go south, I should end up over here. South doesn't turn. South is a straight line. North is a straight line. Okay, south, south, south. Nobody's gone from Santiago and popped up in Australia. Watch, I'm going north. I'm going north. Watch the compass. I'm going north. I'm going north. Oh, look at the compass. Just did a 180. And now I'm going south. I'm going in the same direction, but it's south now. Right? So people...
What do you think North Pole is?
I think the North Pole I think the North Pole is a magnetic mountain. Lots of lore talks about it. They call it the Black Rock, the Rupus Nigra. There's all sorts of videos on it. There's tons of videos I featured on the app about it. Maybe I'll make a section just on that. But on the map section, there's some stuff on it. But this is Amelia Earhart. She circumnavigated the world. Whether she did or not, I think she did. She just stopped at all these places. So if she went this way, she went east. And if she went this way, she went west. And that proves the Earth is what? If you walk around your neighborhood, does that make your neighborhood a sphere? No.
Right. No. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I saw that map that you found. I guess it's on your app of it was discovered actually was put in the newspaper here in Hawaii.
Oh, you're in Hawaii.
I'm in Hawaii, yes.
Nice. So yeah, that was in 1910. It's this map right here.
Yep.
And that shows
that one.
all of these continents out here. Now, where is this? Like, well, how does that work? Right? But if this is what the Earth is, they literally, think about this. All wars, conflicts by nations, what are they about? What is the bottom line of all wars?
Land
and resources. Land and resources.
Okay, resources.
So if you know that there's 40 other continents just here, let alone who knows what else, other civilizations, more resources, and you cut everyone off, say, oh, there's nothing out there. There's nothing to see. Like the Truman Show, right? So you're cut off from seeing that. That's not that's why it matters. That's why it matters. Here's what they did. They cut out around here and they wrapped it around a sphere. And they say, you can go anywhere you want as long as you have a passport, right? But you can't explore this white area here. You can't explore. We'll take you. You want to go? We'll go from here to here. We'll take you to a little island here. Guess what the island name is? Rothschild Island or Deception Island?
You can't make that up.
And no one's independently allowed to explore out here. Nobody's gone from here to here. They go the other way. They go that way. They go around the long way. Why is that? Why is that? Because this isn't where we live, right? This isn't where we live. We live on a flat plane. So they wrapped it around. And think about this. So you have this circle. You could do this, get a circle map, cut it out, and you got the map. And then when you wrap it around a basketball, let's say, the bottom part is going to get all crumpled because there's all that extra area that has to fit around the bottom of the ball, right? Well,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
think about this. There's time zones, right? Time zones for a second. So in time zones, we can just do it right here. Time zones are on a ball. You would have 24 lines going from the North Pole to South Pole. They're equally spaced, and wherever the sun is, it's noon and it spins. There's your time zones. Makes perfect sense if we lived on a ball, which we can't. We can't live on a ball, right? But if you lived on a flat Earth, there's a problem because the time zone would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then people would be like, why is our time zone so wide? Why is it so big? It wouldn't make sense. Did you know that in the north, there's 19 time zones, not 24? In the tropics, there's 24 time zones. And in the south, there's 32 time zones. If you wrap that around a ball, you would stretch this out a little bit. You can add 5 more. You would squeeze this down -7 or 8, and bam, there's your 24. But we don't have 24 time zones. We have 32 and 19.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And the thing is, Mia, you have been thinking about this. You have been looking at it. You've been exercising your brain. You've been making your brain do the work. And we've all been fluoridated and, the other thing and poisoned and trained just to memorize and regurgitate. Okay. You've activated your brain. Most people that are brand new to this, I've lost them already. I've lost them. They're unable to follow this simple concept. They have to fire up their brain. It's like, let's say you haven't gotten out of bed for a month. It's going to be tough to get up and walk around. It's going to be tough, but you got to start working at it, and then you can do it. And that's the same thing with your brain, because people are completely lost. You think about this. They say the earth is tilted, but the time zones still go north to south. So if you're going down, you're crossing 3 time zones. That makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. On your app, you also have a photo of the Earth from the moon. And that was interesting because my husband and I had this talk about it, and he had to break it down for me because I couldn't understand that. So he helped me to understand it. It was a pretty long conversation, but could you explain it to me? So he tried to explain it to me and how it was impossible to have that view of the Earth.
Yeah. So, well, there's a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to give you a little test. Okay. I'm going to show you 3 photos.
Okay.
Some of them are from NASA. Some of them I made. Maybe I made them all, or maybe NASA made them all. Okay. So there's 3. Here's the first one. There's the second one. And there's the third one. Right? One more time. First one. Is that real or did I make it? I'll give you a hint. One of these is from NASA.
Okay. Maybe that one's from NASA. I don't know.
And that one?
That looks so fake.
Okay. And that one?
That looks so fake too.
Okay.
They all do. The first one looks the best.
Yeah, this one's from NASA.
Of course.
This one I made completely with a shot of the moon and an Earth. And this one I used NASA's moon and my Earth. So what I'm showing you here is if I can fake this, I don't get $80 million a day. Okay. I don't get $80 million a day, but I can fake it. You don't think NASA can fake it? Now, we've caught NASA lying 1,000,000 times. You only need to catch them lying once, faking space, wires, green screens, all of that stuff just once, and you know that they're liars. And then why would you believe this nonsense? It took me literally 1 minute to take their photo, change it, make my own. Mine looks better. I think mine looks way better. This is my favorite one, right? That looks more realistic. That looks more realistic.
That's what I said. I thought that was NASA's. Yeah,
this is yours. I don't remember where I got this moonshot. This might be a picture that I took with my P1000. I turned it upside down. I blew it up. I'm not sure. That's the problem with this. NASA with their Mars photos and stuff. I've gotten so confused over time. Like, I keep making photos of Mars, and then I get them mixed up with. I don't know which one they made, and it could, even though I made it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So Mars. So here is. All right. So let me just get this right. So here is this. This is a photo from NASA of Mars. Is it? Do you believe me? I might be lying.
I believe you. I know.
You believe me. You don't know it, but you're believing it. Why do you believe it? Does it look like something NASA would show us, or are you just trusting me? Don't trust me.
I'm just trusting you.
Don't trust me. All right. So this is actually a photo from NASA, right? Whoops. Wait a minute. Maybe it's not. Did I add that sky, or did I remove the sky and make a yellow sky and tell you it was from NASA? Wait a minute. It's the moon. It's the moon. Maybe it's from the moon, right? Or maybe it's New York City, a construction site across from, across the river from New York City. Okay. The truth is, this is the original picture from NASA. In 3 minutes time, I was able to add a sky. I was able to blacken it, turn it black and white, add the moon buggy, and add a tractor in a construction site. So again, why would you believe the liars from NASA? I don't lie. NASA lies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And the moon lander, I like that one on your app, and it talks about how the moon lander was $50 million in 1972 compared to the stealth bomber, $34 million in 1964. And that photo of the moon lander, that is pretty rickety. It kind of looks like the homeless tents here in Hawaii.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Wait, was it the moon lander? I don't see it on here. Was it
it's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you have two photos comparing the stealth and the moon lander side by side.
Yeah. Well, why I'm looking for it, this is funny. Remember the Ocean Gate, the submarine that collapsed? Total nonsense. Total fake nonsense. Out of nowhere, 50 engineers come out and say, well, this is how it happened. But in 50 years, no engineers have come up and talked about this thing because they can't. They absolutely,
it's pretty funny.
They absolutely can't. It's absolutely ridiculous. I have to figure out what I named that one on the app so I can look it up easier. Moonland.
But
I have it right here. It'll come up.
Look at the homeless. One of the homeless. I know you can't really see it.
Yeah, I see it. Wait, that looks like a NASA. They actually, I heard that landed on Mars. Look at this close up. This is the close up of the lab. Wow. Look at this. It's got tape. It's got paper. And the astronauts have been quoted saying, we had to put a mat on the floor because if we dropped something like a screwdriver, it would go through the floor because the entire thing only was the thickness of 3 sheets of Reynolds wrap. Wait a minute. How's that holding air? How could you even go in there? These guys are bumping into things all over the place. These little rockets. I mean, if you take the time and look at this thing, it is the dumbest thing ever. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's so dumb.
That is.
I can't.
It is pretty interesting.
Yeah. You're talking about the moon. This is the famous moonrise, and again, NASA couldn't fake that, right? Wait a minute. I just made the moon bigger. You know what? I think it would look better with 2 moons, or 2 Earths, right? So again, I did this in 4 seconds. And why can't NASA? Why would you believe this is real? Why would you believe this is real? If the sun is up there shining down on the earth, how come it's not lighting up the moon? Because the moon, we see it so light, I can read by it. It casts my shadow on the ground. Right here, it should be thousands of times brighter because you're closer to the source, right? Because as light travels, it reduces in its power inverse by the inverse square law, right? Looking at the moon from Earth is, let's say it's 1 lumen. From this distance, the moon should be like 60 times brighter than the sun for us to see it at that 1 lumen, because you have to keep, it geometrically progresses, getting weaker and weaker. Pretty crazy, right?
It is. It really is. I heard somewhere, I can't remember which video it was, something about the moon's light, their temperature, when you measure it, it's colder. Is that
Correct.
true?
Correct. The moonlight is measurably colder. Now, there's a million ways to do that experiment and get it wrong. Literally get it false positive, right? You can, you people put like a piece of cardboard over the ground. Well, that's insulating the ground. But if you do it with moonlight shining on the same surface and there's the same amount of airflow and everything, it's measurably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees colder. So that's weird. That's weird. And the trolls came out. There's no such thing as cold light. Then literally the next day, Cody's Action Lab, a non-flat Earth science channel, came out with showing us what a cold laser was, where you could freeze things with a laser. All right. So yes, there's a thing. There is a cold light. There is the opposite of a hot light.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it really is. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, he said, he himself said that there is no curve at 62 miles up. You cannot see the curve. He said that. I saw that on your video or your guys' movie, Level Up. I watched that.
The next level, level with me. Level with me. I mean, level with me. Yeah, the third one. Yeah, I mean, if you look at here, if this is, this what always gets me is this is from 127,000 feet. Okay, at 127,000 feet, the Earth is white because there's so much atmosphere you're looking through. It's white. But when NASA shows you photos from space, it's these vivid colors, these blues and greens, and like, no, like you're not going to go farther away, and then the color is going to get stronger. It's going to get weaker, right? This is what Earth looks like from high altitudes, and this is how high the sun is, right? The sun is very close. I don't, that's a whole nother show to get into what the sun is and how we see the sun, but.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what about dark night satellite? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a thing. Now, but hang on, let me back out of that. Satellites are not falling around the Earth. The description of an orbit is this. On my globe with me. It's still falling, but it's going so fast that the Earth's curve drops away at the same rate as it's moving forward. The International Space Station is in gravity, but it's moving 17,500 miles an hour. And at that speed, every mile it drops, there's a mile of Earth drop. And so it's just perpetually falling around. If it was falling around the Earth like that with no friction, no air, it would be speeding up. Because when things fall, they increase their speed. But it's not, because it's going the same speed. So there's lots of NASA has put up tens of thousands of balloon satellites. We've seen proof of that. And there's actually now some research going on into quantum locking. And, if you get up high enough to the ether, it's like 72 miles, you might be able to lock something up there. You might be able to stick something in the plasma layer or whatever it is. We don't know. But it's testable that you could do that. But, we can't confirm that because we don't have access to any of that.
So the Dark Knight satellite, that supposedly is a very old satellite that they think is not even from humans.
Yeah,
I think from
have you ever
Earth?
seen it yourself?
No, just on the shows.
Right. I don't
Um,
think it exists. I don't think it exists. I don't think it
because
exists.
they say with that satellite that goes from north to south, right? Instead of east to west, which everything usually goes.
East and west
That's
is
the only one that
well,
goes.
so I know it's not real because if it went from north to south, from north to south, it would never go back to north again unless it turned around because it's not going to go around. So the Dark Knight satellite, cool story, bro. There's no proof that it exists. There's no proof whatsoever. There, I think that they can now stick some things up there and in certain ways, but you know, the real satellites are airplanes. Airplanes have all of the communication equipment. They have all of the power. They're constantly landing at airports and can be serviced anytime they need, something needs to be fixed. But we're supposed to believe that we have satellites orbiting the Earth, crazy in all these, we're corkscrewing through space, but somehow a satellite can follow all of those motions, all of those speedings up and slowings downs and turnings, and remain over the same point on land, a geostationary satellite. How's that possible? Just to follow the spin of the Earth. But you got to remember the Earth is curving away, chasing the sun, orbiting the sun. How does that satellite mirroring all of that stuff? Right? How does the moon orbit the Earth? Think about this. Hold on. So, my moon. Got my Earth. I got my moon. We'll call this the moon. So the Earth is orbiting this way. Okay, it's orbiting this way. It's 66,000 miles an hour. So when the moon is here, the moon's going around the Earth like this in the heliocentric model. So when it's right here, it's moving 66. Well, when it's right here, it's moving the same speed as the Earth to keep its same distance. To get to here, it's got to speed up. The moon's moving 2,000 miles an hour. That's what they tell us. So it's going 69,000 miles an hour. Here it's going 69,000 miles an hour. Now it's got to slow down to get behind the Earth again. So it's got to speed up and slow down and speed up and slow down to maintain its position. Most people's brains melt at this point because they're like, I can't figure that out. The reason you can't figure it out is because it's stupid. It's unfigureoutable. It's not real. People think that because they can't understand something, that means that they're stupid. No, it means that the thing you're trying to understand is stupid a lot of the time.
So the Earth, you don't think the Earth spins at all? It just is stationary.
The Earth does not move one bit. If it did, you would know it. I was just in a couple of earthquakes in Acapulco. I knew when the Earth was moving. All right? We're not moving. People, well, you don't understand relative motion. There's no relative motion on a curve. Go in a car and at whatever speed, a nice fast speed. And if it takes the slightest turn, you feel it. That turn gives your body the sense of acceleration. The dinner plate with water. Watch the water. Right? Well, every motion of the Earth is a curved motion. Well, the Earth only spins one time a day. You can't even see an hour hand on a clock go around. And that's going twice as fast because it goes around twice. Yeah, but you're thinking of angular speed and not linear speed. A clock, if you have a 24-hour clock, let's start with a merry-go-round. A merry-go-round. If it went around once per day, it would really be hard to tell that it's moving, right? You're on a merry-go-round, boy, this is boring. And it would barely move, but if you come back a couple hours later, you're like, oh, it did move. Now expand that out to 2,400 miles in circumference. So now it's moving 100 miles an hour. I think you'd notice that. Now expand it to 24,000 miles, the size of the Earth. Now it's going 1,000 miles an hour, and it's going off your trajectory at a mile a minute. A mile sideways. You don't think you're going to feel that? We can prove that you'll feel that.
If that's the truth, would the center be spinning really fast, like the North Pole? Like on a record player, would that be going really fast?
Well, it's going the outside. It's angular. When you're standing a mile from the North Pole on a ball, you're going in a
What if you're
circle.
right
You're going
at
in
the
a circle, and
Mhm.
you're only going 6.28 miles every 24 hours because that's the radius, right? But if you're on the equator, you're going 24,901 miles in that same period of time in just a bigger circle. So, yeah, well, it's going the same angular speed, but the linear speed is different every point on that ball. So there is no spinning. If we were spinning, we would know it. I mean, people want to talk about star motions, and it's that you can't have stars in a space vacuum. Gas doesn't collapse upon itself, except in space, that where you can't go. It violently fills the available space. Always,
Does
every time.
did did the dinosaurs ever existed?
So in the 1800s, some royal guy came up with the idea of a dinosaur, right? He came up with the idea of a dinosaur. No one had ever found a dinosaur from any mega construction project from the pyramids to current time. No one had ever found a dinosaur. He wrote a paper, published it, and a year later to the day, he and his team discovered the first dinosaur. These dinosaurs you see in the museums are plastic, are plaster. They're made from chicken bones. And they're like, well, we didn't find a whole dinosaur. You know, did you find a head? No, they never found a head of any dinosaur. What'd you find? A
They
leg?
usually just
No,
find a piece.
a tooth. They usually find like a tooth or something. Okay, and they construct these whole impossible dinosaurs. I challenge anybody: go get a couple Stegosaurus dolls and try to see how they mate. Let me know how they mate. Let me know how that works out. Okay. I mean, it's all impossible and stupid. Now there were um, giant animals in the past, giant people. I still think they exist now, maybe in the outer lands, but there were dragons, and I think that dinosaurs were created to hide two things: the truth about dragons and the truth about giant humans. Like if you find a thigh bone that would be of a 200-foot tall man, you could just say, "Oh, it's a dinosaur bone."
That's interesting. I never thought of that because I talk to a lot of people that we talk about the Nephilims and the giants on Earth. That's interesting. I never thought about that. You're
Yeah.
right. Maybe.
They
Maybe it
need
is to cover that
dinosaurs.
up.
They need the Big Bang. They need all of this to convince you that you're insignificant, convince you that you're on a spinning ball, convince you that you're that there's running out of resources, that we're running out of land. I think there used to be trillions with a T, trillions of people here in this area in our realm. Um, but and there's so much evidence, if you start looking into the Tataria, the old world stuff, it the population here, I think, was massive, massive. Um, this is I wanted to mention this. So on a globe Earth, the sun is 93 million miles away. So morning sun, 93 million miles away, it's cold. Noon sun, 93 million miles away, it's warm. Evening sun, 93 million miles away, it's cold. On a flat Earth, you have a distant sun, it's cold. A closer sun, it's warm. A distant sun, it gets colder again. This is what it looks like in June 21st. So here I'm in Connecticut, right about here. So it's warm because the sun is close. When it's close, it's high in the sky. If I'm standing under a street light, that's high in the sky. The street light that's down the road is lower in the sky, farther away. It doesn't put as much light, doesn't put as much heat on me, right? This is December 21st, right? And
Mhm.
the sun travels 6 months up, 6 months down. On a flat Earth, it looks like this. Here's the summer for June for the inner north. There's the summer for the outer south. And the sun just goes around, just like everything tells us.
Interesting. What do you think is at the edge of the Earth? If you ever got to the edge, what is at the edge of the Earth?
I think there's more land. I think
Is there ever, does it ever stop and eventually there's nothing?
so. Again, anything beyond the shoreline, about 6 degrees south, where we're allowed to independently explore, is speculation. So I am speculating. I do not know. I do not know what's above us. I do not know what's containing our air. I do not know what shape it is. I do not know how big it is. I do not know if it's water. I think it's water. I think it turns solid from all the information I've grabbed, but I have no proof. But there's something containing our air. So we live here in the Antarctic basin. This is the shoreline of our world. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. You need high land to contain the water. Perfect. It works perfectly. Antarctica could be bigger than all of the continents and oceans combined. Or it could be thinner. We don't know because we're not allowed to explore out south, out south, out south. No one's allowed to go out here. Well, why would you want to go out there? It's cold. There's nothing there. That's what they tell us, but there's different reports saying that different things are true, right? So what if the Earth is like this? We live here. This is Antarctica. Maybe it's 1,000 miles, and then it's more water and more land, extra territory, extra terra, extraterrestrials. From where? The outer space. So when you say what's beyond the edge, is this the edge? Is this the edge? Is this the edge? There's more land. What could be out there? Maybe the world is set up like this, where we're here, right? We're here at the center here. And here's what we were just looking at. But then out here, there's other ponds, other contained water basins, pieces of the plane, a planet, if you will. And maybe there's one big superdome over all of this. There's the book on the app. If you go to the book section, so you go to the book section right there, and Hidden Lands Beyond the Antarctica. That's one. But another one by the same guy is The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. I would start with that. This one right here, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. It's short, it's fast, it's big type, there's pictures. It's like a kid's book. It's great to read to your kids too, but it's great for adults. It's literally the story of Star Wars here on Earth. There's friendly lands, there's the hostile lands, there's trade routes, there's places you can go, you can't go, there's barriers, there's energetic barriers, and there's these people they call the custodians that monitor who travels from which pond to which pond. And they say in the book that everyone that travels between these lands has a connection to the source, which gives them power. The source. What does that sound like? In Star Wars, the Force. The Force. Right? So Star Wars is telling us the story of what's happening here. The scientifically impossible outer space with distant burning balls of gas in a scientifically impossible space vacuum is stupid. Here on Earth, on the dielectric plane that we live on, whether this is it and just Antarctica is the end and we're not allowed past there and nobody knows, or if there's more, I think there's more land. I think there's thousands of times more land than we know about. And if you've watched my videos, you've seen me talk about Kiribati and where we found ships that were going into the outer lands.
How do you spell Kiribati? Because I tried to look that up and I couldn't spell it.
It's called
Nothing came up.
Kiribate, I think. I can look. Hold on.
Because every time I looked, it came up with those island in like Micronesia area.
Isn't that
South Pacific area?
That's where it is. That's where it is.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So Kiribati. Yeah.
And is this a man-made land?
So no, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know what? Let's
Okay.
for your listeners, we'll quickly go over Kiribati. Now you can go on ship tracking, cruise ship tracking, any big cargo ship, they're all tracked and you can look them up. They're all here and you can click on them and get all the information you want about them. And we saw a ship that was, whoa, right here. How did it get that far? It's 730 miles in. It's 730 miles in. Google Earth says that's 1.9 miles higher than the ocean. How does a ship get there? Right? Zooming out, got the whole world here. We found another one that's 905 miles in. How does a ship get there? And that's 2.37 miles above sea level. So if you think about the the map I was showing you before, right?
Mhm.
They cut this out, they wrap it around a sphere, and they bring all of this into the little fake Antarctica. So if a ship is going out, maybe it's going out like this. Maybe it's going out like this. And if you wrap this around a ball, this is going to be in the middle of Antarctica, right? So here is
Yeah.
here is where it is. It's out here in the South Pacific. I put a pin on it because it's literally a little tiny sandbar. America and China say, and many other countries say it's a very important trade route. Why would ships need to stop at this sandbar? What are they getting there? Lunch?
Kitty bitty.
Right? So who knows what they're doing? But
Mm.
I have lots of theories on what they could be doing. Technology, all sorts of stuff. Again, also on Kiribati, there's a Captain Cook hotel. Captain Cook's the guy that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, and he measured 68,000 miles when he should have gone 13,000. Weird. Maybe that's just a
He
hint.
couldn't hear. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. They did all sorts of nuke testing. I showed you the time zones before. The time zones are screwed up. Even on what they tell us, there's one time zone that does this. This goes across 3.5 time zones. And look what's right here in
Wow.
what's called the most suspicious spot. That would be Kiribati. You know what this means? That it's there? I don't. I don't know what it means. But it's interesting. It's interesting. So
Yeah.
what are they
It
doing
is.
in Kiribati? I don't know. But I think
Didn't
they're
China spend so much money on them and
10,
gave them
10
10
or
billion?
10 billion. America also, and South
Right.
Korea says they're a very important trade route. What is going on there? And here's the thing:
That is interesting.
I have a video. It's called "How Would You Know?" Because um, you never heard about Kiribati until you saw my videos, right? So how would you know if there's trade
Mm-hmm.
routes going on there? You know, we could be getting our technology from these outer lands, these advanced civilizations. You know, we think we're at the top of the pyramid of intelligence. We're literally in the middle of the movie Idiocracy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed this conversation with you. And I know it's an hour, and I don't want to take up more of your time because we put 1 hour slot in.
Yeah.
But wow, this
Let
is
me tell you.
amazing.
Yeah, here's the thing. I would assume that your followers don't trust the government, understand that they're not here for our benefit. Um, they don't want you looking at flat Earth. Well, but what does that mean? That means you should look at flat Earth. And they're hiding all the good videos. You Google flat Earth, you're literally going to give up. You're just going to go, "Wow, flat Earth is stupid," because they're going to feed you stuff in authoritative voices and English accents and all sorts of stuff to make you think that these people know what they're talking about. They're literally paid or possessed. Doesn't make a difference, and they're feeding you crap information. On my website, flatearthdave.com, I have this cool app, which you love. It's great. Do you have did you fill out the profile? I mean the friend finder referral. Do you have a referral code?
No, I don't think
So
I did.
so do you have your app right
I
there with
think
you? Do you have your app right
I
there with
do.
you? So if you open up the friend finder and then go right here, look, this button right here,
Mm-hmm.
this button in the friend finder, it'll bring up your referral page. Bring that up. So go to the friend finder. It'll take a second to load. And then go to the referral button. And what's your referral number? This is just a test
So I
app.
go,
You'll see this page. You'll see this page. Let me see. And wait, hold on. I see it. You're on that page. Yes. Oh no, you
new
have to.
user.
Yeah, you have to. You've never gone
I
in the
have to
front. You
sign
just
up.
got to. You just have to put in an
Yeah.
email and a password. So what I was going to say is, when you talk to somebody about flat Earth and show them the app, if you ever showed anyone the app, they go, "Oh, that's so cool. Where do I get it?" And if you say, "Well, if you're going to get it, use my referral number," and my referral number, could be Maya. You can change it. It'll be a bunch of random letters, random numbers. Just change it to Maya. That way, every time somebody signs up, you get a point on the app. You can trade those points in for the subscription. The subscription is for the higher functions that actually cost per use. But the app, $3 one-time charge, and it's great. These are all the people around me. Literally, Mark Devlin, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a great researcher. He's doing a New England tour, and I just sent out to 100 kilometers, up to 581 people. Hey, I'm going to this Mark Devlin thing. Let's meet up there beforehand, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of people that'll meet up. It's a great way to find other like-minded people. Flat Earth, all of these blue dots, all of them are awake, aware, sexy, attractive, fun people, right? So
How many are in Hawaii? Can you check
let's
Hawaii?
take a look. Here we go. That's Hawaii right here. What island are you on?
Oahu.
Oahu. Is this
That
over
one, yeah,
here? Yeah.
that one. Yep, yep, that one.
You got some people there. So wouldn't it be
Yeah.
cool? And you can click on one of those dots, look at their profile. You can send them a message. You can voice call. You can video call. You can do all sorts of things. You can create a group, call it make a group called it Oahu, and then tell everybody to join the group. Now you have your own little chatting group, and you end up meeting people. People have already met people, have gotten married, had babies, new best friends, meetups. We did one here in the New York area. We sent it out. We had 80 people show up at a pizza restaurant. It was crazy. It was so fun. So anybody listening to
That's
this,
pretty cool.
April 10th, right after the eclipse, we're going to meet up in upstate New York if anyone's here, anyone's listening to this, at Niagara Falls. Check my channel for the video about it. But April 10th, Mark Devlin's in New Haven, Connecticut, and I'll be going, get there a couple hours early, hang out. Come on, Mark's someone that you don't want to miss if you want to learn about the truth, what's going on in the music industry, the craziness there, and all the other things that are going on in the world. Good, fun.
Sounds interesting.
Always a fun stuff. And he's got great books. So,
thank you again.
Right. I was going to say include your referral number, but we'll pass that. We'll do it next time. All right.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yep, flatearthdave.com.
Thank you so much.
Flatearthdave.com. It's where you can find everything. If you don't want to get the app, that's fine. Go there, watch the videos on the crash course. Just educate yourself, and then tell me it doesn't matter, because it does. They've created a world that's a fake world. That's not God's world of nature. It's their stupid satanic ball world. And if you play on their ball field, you have to play by their rules. When you unplug from the heliocentric matrix, you literally free yourself from their mind control, from their matrix. And it's an amazing, great place to be. Thanks, Mia.
Thank you.